When is a fact check not really a fact check? Hi, thanks for watching. It's Friday today. That means it's Fact Check Friday. And today I want to talk about an idea in fact checking, and that is that sometimes a fact check really isn't a fact check at all. Now, the example that I'm going to give you today deals with Jake Tapper at CNN. He works with factcheck.org, and he has a weekly series where he usually fact checks Trump. And I'm going to give you an example today on how this fact check really isn't a fact check at all. Let's take a look.
But this week I want to take a look at just one of those statistics that we keep hearing about. The number that we're looking at today is 17,000. Specifically, in a letter to Congress on January 4th, President Trump said that, quote, 17,000 adults at the border with existing criminal records were arrested in the last fiscal year. The president's acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, said something similar in an interview with me on Sunday. Take a listen.
The DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen tried to point out that we had arrested 17,000 criminals at the southern border so far, well, actually just last year, and Nancy Pelosi simply refused to accept that fact.
So let's be very clear about what Mick Mulvaney's saying there. He's saying that 17,000 criminals were arrested at the southern border. 17,000 criminals arrested at the southern border. Is that true? No, that is not true. Let's start with what is true. According to Customs and Border Protection, roughly 17,000 individuals with criminal records were arrested last year trying to enter the United States. But that figure, 17,000, is not just for individuals at the southern border. 10,000 of the 17,000, in fact, were arrested trying to come into the United States through legal ports of entry, legal ones, like an airport or a seaport, places that a border wall would have no impact on. And of course, the big question, are these legal ports of entry, where 10,000 of the 17,000 were arrested trying to enter the United States, were they all at the southern border? No. The number includes any of the 328 ports of entry into the United States on the southern border or the northern border or airports. It could be Buffalo, it could be Miami, it could be Seattle, just to name a few.
First, the original memo that was sent out from Trump did not specify what the border was. And technically, right, a border is any port of entry, any airport that has an international arrival. That's part of the border, the northern border. It's all the border. Technically, the memo, there was no issue with the memo. Mulvaney, in his interview this past weekend, mentioned it specifically with the southern border, and Jake Tapper fell for this hook, line, and sinker. You see, that's one of the issues when you try to fact-check Donald Trump, is Donald Trump often doesn't care about specific numbers. He cares more about getting his message out or getting his point across. And it really doesn't matter if you were to convey to people, hey, there were several thousand or tens of thousands of people crossing the border that were criminals. It doesn't mean much. The number doesn't mean anything. What's more important is that you're getting across the point is that thousands of criminals are crossing the border, okay? And by Mulvaney making this error, I suspect that it was intentional. And by saying, yeah, there were 17,000 at the southern border, they knew that there were going to be articles. Jake Tapper was going to get on CNN and go off about how it wasn't 17,000, it was actually more like 7,000 criminals crossed at the southern border. Trump doesn't care if you correct him from 17,000 to 7,000. That doesn't matter. The point of the matter is that Jake Tapper is telling his audience that thousands of criminals are crossing the southern border. Jake, you got played. See, this is kind of like, suppose you were a kid, you're, I don't know, a young teenager, and your folks go away for the weekend. And when they come back, your dad busts into your bedroom and says, listen, son, I know that you had your friends over and you drank my gin and my vodka. I know you were. Just admit it. If you were to come back and say, Dad, I want to fact check you. We only drank your vodka. We didn't touch your gin. You're a sucker. You just gave away the point. That's what happened in this case. Jake Tapper is now getting out Trump's message that there are thousands of criminals that are caught at the southern border. But if he had just said 7,000, Jake Tapper wouldn't have done a piece on it on CNN and on factcheck.org. But now, Jake Tapper is spreading the message that Trump wants him to spread because Jake Tapper is too arrogant and he thinks that he's so smart, but he's not. He got played in this case.
A reminder to all you politicians out there, you're perfectly entitled to your own opinions, not to your own facts.
But I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Have you seen the channel? Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Please click the big red button to subscribe. It really helps me when you do that. And click the bell to allow notifications so you never miss a new video.